Namaste Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Let us sit for meditation, guiding your attention towards the present, coming into a comfortable position, posture, with the back supported, the shoulders, the chest open, settling into the present. As we guide our attention away from external stimuli, let us guide our attention inward, bringing our focus to the breath, gently observing, observing moment to moment, the arising and ceasing of the breath. Gently, gently, in breath, out breath, as it occurs, the mind noting the in breath as it is, the out breath as it is, gently observant, aware, letting go of the past and the future. As you observe the present breath, letting go of all else, accepting reality as it is, as the mind drifts away from sankhara, coming into a state of awareness, over this changing breath, clinging to nothing. Allow these dhammas to arise and cease in their own time, letting go of control as we ease into the present, noting the in breath and out breath. Observe, observe. With intention, let us let go of personal view, likes, dislike, warn, letting go of all form of clinging towards views, conceit, self, and simply being in this present, accepting all that is, and with every moment, one's attention and focus, sati, swiftly, gently becoming stronger with its breath as the object. Observe the in-breath, the out-breath. Observe whenever the mind may find itself distracted, gently guiding one's attention to the breath. Observing, observing, observing. gently when possible. And as the sankharas formation within the mind and body gently come into a state of tranquility and peace, the breath may become clearer and manifest as the long breath or short breath. At this time, note the long in breath as the long in breath, the long out breath as the long out breath. As and when it arises, without any attachment, without any manifestation of view, conceit, with letting go, loving kindness and wisdom. Let us observe this present moment, taking delight in letting go, acknowledging that as we do let go, the mind and body comes to become more and more at peace. Observe the present breath as it arises and ceases. Observe from the long to the short breath. Observe, observe, observe. Gently, as the awareness over the breath continues to grow, observing the arising, processing, ceasing, the whole body of the breath. Gently, balancing the indriya, whenever necessary. The mind may drift or be clinging. Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Prajna. Balancing the indriya as we go. Observing the moment of the breaths arising, breath processing, existing, and the moment the breath ceases, letting go of all else, observing gently. adverting towards the breath, noting arising, processing, ceasing. Upade, Ditthi, Banga, noting, noting, gently, knowing that all phenomena, mind and matter, is impermanent, is prone to suffering and lacking of self. Let us cultivate this path, culminating in the ending of all suffering, all pain, all grief, all insecurity. The cooling of mind, body, on to cessation. No further craving and suffering cause. The ending of the cycle of rebirth, continuity. Let us connect with the deepest peace brought about through samadhi, through alobha, adosa, amoha. Coming into this moment, being with the breath, inspired by the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Observe this very moment of arising, processing, and ceasing. This is what happens in every moment, with every object. Mind or materiality. Rising, ceasing. When we do not cling, it ceases without a remnant. Remain gently, gently. Observe, letting go. Observe. Gently observing the subtle breath with profound acceptance over the Dhamma that is, without any expression or response. We attend to the object without view, with wisdom discerning the path, moment to moment, gently observing the nature of impermanence that has been throughout and still is within this very moment. Change, gently, because of this change, impermanent, suffering occur, unfold, saturates the moment. Gently, 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 or swiftly, observe this suffering, moment to moment. Suffering is a characteristic of this reality, whether pleasant or unpleasant. The truth of suffering is present. Dukkha Satya. Observe, observe this nature. Gently recollecting the aspects of the meditation practice. Acknowledging it as it is with acceptance. Gently guiding your attention towards the body, the sensation of the floor, chair, cushion, sensations across the body, sound, smell, taste. Gently gently with loving kindness, no direction, all internal, all external. Loving kindness towards all physicality, down to each vibration, each change. May all condition unfold in the best possible manner. May all be well. May all be well. May all all be well. With the light of Dhamma shining within you. When you are ready, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, everyone. So every day we continue, we try along the Anapanasati Sutra. The first part of the tetrad is often something that we practice. Now, as we know, with how we speak of ultimate reality, with the chitta, the consciousness, the other mental counterparts, which are the cetasikas, like sati, like effort, like wisdom, which are all cetasikas. And then physicality. And vipassana being what it is, seeing deeply, penetratively, discerning between dhammas with every effort made, is seeing the truest forms of reality as they are with intention, with intention. Now, as we do experience and have experience in our own practice individually, we have a certain type or level of Dhamma that we speak of, and we attempt, I think, to go deeper into more truthful, non-tainted way of seeing this present moment. When we speak of anicca, dukkha, anatma, in this very moment being a characteristic of reality, these three realities or rather characteristics exist in each and every moment. To see this is why we do what we do in terms of quieting the mind, coming into the present moment, to observe the path of when we let go of all the clutter in the mind with the stories and the views and all that we believe and all that we crave and want, when we let go of all of that and come into our more humble, more simple base of mind, still with self, but still a more simple place to be with, be in the present moment where we let go of the past and the future. When we let go of the past and future, I think you would also agree with me to the fact that the mind, the body, starts to calm down. In when we take it to task with volition to let go of the past and the future, a great portion of the suffering that we feel, however subtle, even maybe with a slight heaviness of head or shoulders, we experience the results of how craving, and when the craving is not met with reality, those expectations gather within the physical body. And we know this about how the physical body reacts to when we are stressed, and how it is when we are happy and we take life easy, and when we are quick to be able to let go and to move forward, not to hover over negative things all the time. We know how the body reacts to these sorts of attitudes, yon sumansikara. But when we go further, deeper in our discernment, where wisdom, it is not discernment or the application of views, it is discernment like a light of wisdom switching on in a dark room. The room is illuminated. Such kind of experience is not the application of view. So when we observe the breath for whatever it might be, even the slightest manifestation of hope or thinking that we know of its inadvertent future, of how it would manifest further or go into cessation, that is a slighter level of seeing where, for example, where views come into the picture for the meditator, and how discernment is brought in to even shed that slightest taint or blemish that could impede upon the purity of this moment in absolute being and shedding of all craving. When we do shed this craving, these views, then the way that we see what we see and experience shifts and changes. Meaning, we are not expecting worldly results anymore out of this present moment, because hopefully by this time we have let go of a great portion of that gross kind of expectation, and the mind has settled upon this object. Now, the entirety of the mind is the object. This is where the meditator is able to be with the breath through its moment of arising, noting as it happens, moment of processing, and then its subsequent cessation. The meditator notes it, and afterward, what happens? Another arising. The meditator keeps the mind upon this object, repeatedly adverting. Now, when I say adverting, what is the mental factor that comes to your mind? What is the chetasika that comes to your mind when I say adverting? Do you remember the chetasika? What is adverting? I'm not going to call anyone's name out, but I hope that I get the answer. What is adverting, everyone? As a mental factor, what performs the function of adverting to the object?
Vitakka Hamdani.
Is vitaka. Thank you, Mala. It is vitaka. Vitaka is also called initial application. Initial application. This is the first point or the first part of mind that knocks against or touches the object. This is the moment where passa occurs. The moment the mind touches the object, passa occurs. The object has arisen. At this time, with every arising, just like two material counterparts coming into contact with one another, let us say, there is or is there any result? that occurs in this place? What do you think? In terms of, I don't want anything that you gathered from the book, what do you think in yourself? Have you ever noticed in your mind when an object arises? Maybe the moment a distraction arises, the mind shifts to another object. Or maybe the mind coming into contact with the breath itself, moment to moment. At this moment, I want you to go back to that moment, to that very moment. And I want you to recollect what that experience is like. When an object arises, what is or how does this effect occur? That is the question. Hmm? How does that effect occur? What would you like to share, if anyone? Uh,
Okay. I would like to share Bante
uh-huh.
because while I was meditating, I was having lots of noises from my people in
Mm,
the first floor. There are kids there, but I was able to not get annoyed or anything. I was able to accept it and continue with my meditation. For the first time, I was able to do that. So I
mm,
want to share that experience, Bante. I
mm,
was very calm and I was not getting upset. I was concentrating in my meditation and I was able to overcome that.
okay.
So I just want to share that with you.
All right. So that also can be an answer to the question that I asked, Devika.
Yes,
Because on a physical level, when
yes,
a physical object comes to mind, that is the point where we establish a certain sense of what we say samvara or discipline.
yes,
Yeah, where the discipline of mind is not here to say that the mind is being warded off from the evil, but more rather keeping to the discipline of the kusala mind.
yes,
Where it is not going into attaching or clinging. Hmm? So that also answers the question to a certain, in your way, Devika. Hmm?
yes.
But for the other, hmm? For the others, now, what else would everyone share about that moment? Yes, Dale.
When you have relaxed into the moment and when you have calmed your mind and when you are at that point that whether it's a sound that you see or a feeling that comes, you're just in that, you're just in the stage. If it is some vision that came, is in the seeing or whether it's just the hearing. So actually you haven't started then, either let- letting go and bringing it back again until it becomes sustained application, or you haven't started just your perceptions and the sanskaras that you keep building on. It hasn't happened. That's for a fraction of a moment. It is just the seeing or the hearing.
Hmm. Fraction of the moment, the seeing or the hearing, the arising of the moment. Okay, okay.
Bante,
Comes in it.
yeah, the if you approach more pragmatic
Uh-huh.
way of explaining it, as soon as I uh, put my mind in contact with the object,
Mm,
right? That means it can be sight, sound, or anything else. The immediate uh, effect is it comes the feeling or the some sort of sensation, right? But that sensation will comes with uh, some sort of background information
mm,
in order to identify the object is, right? Well, say if I get sight, I immediately uh, recognize the the colors, right? And then associated with that's some sort of feeling. So
Mm.
associated with that comes the knowledge in your mind that will disseminate what it is, whether it's a red, brown, or that's based on your uh, background information.
Your
So,
samadhi.
yeah. So that means, in other words, I get in Buddhist terms, I'll say I get a package of feeling and sanya
Mm.
together. When I get a, when I get contact with a object through my sensory, five senses, yeah, I get a package of feeling and sanya together,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
That will disseminate immediately whether it's a happy one or a unhappy one or a neutral one,
Yes.
right?
Now,
Right.
usually, Damsari,
Yeah,
when we get packages delivered
yeah,
to the house, isn't it?
yeah,
What you usually do is you put it on a table and you open the package, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Uh, and you take one by one, you take it out and you sort of
yeah,
separate it and put it away wherever, but you take it out, isn't it? So that is exactly, in terms of having to further break it away and go further in.
yeah,
Uh, because whenever there is two,
yeah,
then there is a division that is possible.
yes,
With the mind,
yeah,
because we know at one mind moment only one Dhamma can be present. When there is two, still we are in not in touching the exact ultimate.
yeah,
Uh, so if the perception and another Dhamma is Vedana is seen together, that
yeah.
also needs to be divisible. But that is divisible.
Ah,
Two
can
different
I, can
Dhammas.
I,
Jana Sanyava.
yeah, no, Bhante, according to Mahavedala Sutta,
Mm,
Buddha very clearly say that
mm,
Vedana and Sanya,
mm.
it's undivisible.
Yes.
It comes together. That's
Mm,
exactly what I feel, actually,
mm,
because in our discussions we were talking about Vedana, and then there's nothing called Vedana Pacha Sanya.
mm.
In Buddhism, it doesn't say. If it is comes divisional, it should say Vedana Pacha Sanya. But there's nothing in the Buddhist philosophy says that.
Mm.
In Buddhist philosophy says tang vedeti, or yang vedic tang sanyanati,
Sanjanati
sanjanati. So that means when it happens, it comes together.
comes to be known.
Yeah, yeah, comes to be
Mm.
known. So that's why I was wondering.
Here,
Yeah,
Damsari, although
yeah,
when we take the five aggregates,
yeah,
this is going a little bit away from the discussion part.
yeah,
When we do take the five aggregates with consciousness, perception, and feeling will always be present.
yeah.
However, what we are doing at this moment is cultivating wisdom, the ability of seeing, discerning. uh,
Yeah, yeah,
And in this part would fall under, of course, discerning the mind, right?
mm,
In that discernment of mind, or earlier when you're looking at how Sanya is arising, if you are inquiring during the earlier phases, also you
mm,
could see, of course.
yeah,
However, particularly when we discern
mm,
mind at that moment, you are able to discern every part of the chaitasikas within the mind,
mm,
mental factors within the mind.
mm,
For
Yeah.
example, awareness, you will be able to
Yeah.
discern. What
Yeah.
does discerning awareness mean? Meaning discerning the particular element of awareness that is
Yeah.
present in the consciousness at that time.
Mm-hmm.
When we discern, for example, sensation, Vedana, when we are discerning that Vedana, yes, the sanya arises, and it is through that arising of sanya that one is able to take that Vedana as a particular symbol of Vedana. Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah.
However, when we separate the mind, meaning
Mm-hmm.
Ganasanya, when we break down the compactness of mind,
Mm-hmm.
we have to be able to discern, distinguish the moment of arising, processing, ceasing of Sanya, the moment of arising, processing, ceasing of Vedana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Vedana, arising, processing, ceasing, is something that a meditator often practices during the second tetrad of the Anapanasati Sutra. That is
Mm-hmm.
where we go from the breath, where the breath becomes a mere Vedana. And
Mm-hmm.
the Vedana, now, element of Vedana, sensation, is observed in five parts or three parts. So,
Mm-hmm.
Manasa, Domanasa, Upeka, or Sukha,
Yeah.
Somanasa Sukha,
Yeah.
Domanasa Dukkha Upekha.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Leading to then the division. Now a person being able to discern not one part of Vedana but three or five, meaning the mind goes into a greater depth of awareness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being able to discern without view, you might imagine, oh, discerning, knowing Sukha as Sukha is easy. But remember, that might be easy with view.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing it as it arises without thinking, but knowing it for the nature that it is when you come into a state of absolute present and being with the Vedana that is,
Yeah.
truly with the light of Dhamma shining throughout, pervading in the room, that everything is clear.
Mm.
That everything is clear. Now, ditthi may arise, views may arise, which is a lobha mula chitta, greed rooted chitta. Ditthis may arise in saying, in manifesting, because we think we know, because we've learned or read or listened for whatever reason, or because of past experience. Ditthi would manifest it and say, oh, this is what it is. But that is not what it is. That is a view, not the wisdom.
Yeah.
In discerning between, for example, when Vedana arises and ceases, which is a second part or the second tetrad of the Anapanasati Sutra, seeing the Sanya arising and ceasing is a part of the third and the fourth tetrads of the Anapanasati Sutra. That is the third and the final part of the of the tetrad, where you see Sanya for what it is
Yeah.
as the ultimate reality. So when we are discerning Vedana absolute for what it is, there Vedana becomes, as we know, the main object which we discern. When we go into Sanya, then Sanya is the only object. When there are two objects, still it is a compilation of the mind.
Yeah.
If it is a purest present, there is only one. Hmm?
Okay.
There is only one. That is why a image, a sound, let us say a sound, any sound, a bird chirping, even that bird chirping, when you know that it is a bird, that it is chirping, that it is a bird, it is a chirping, any part of these things, when it comes to be known, that moment itself, you have identified, there has been craving that has arisen, craving that has arisen, which connects with the perception towards what you know and establishing that, oh, that's a bird. Hmm? That's a bird. Establishing a view. When we let go of that process, how do we let go of that process? We see through discernment, guiding our attention back to the object, letting go as we please. At that moment, we can discern one independent Dhamma. And Vedana and Sanya, particularly, are two very important mental factors to discern. Why? Because they are a skandha on its own, meaning there is the aggregate of sensations, if you remember, and then the aggregate of perceptions. Hmm? Aggregate of sensations is the aggregate of what it feels to be you. What it feels to be you when you enter your comfortable space, your room, the smell that it might have, for example. If it is an unusual smell, then maybe you are quick to pick up on it because it is an unusual smell. Whatever it is, the comfort, all throughout the six sense bases, the sensations that one has been accustomed to in living or being you. Sanya is all the data that you relate your life to. Oh, this happened to me. This happened to me. I've learned this. I've been here. I've seen that. Uh, or when a person speaks, and when you understand, or you understand, maybe it's something that is technical, and you understand exactly what this person is saying. That comes because you've experienced, you've advanced, you've matured, you've learned. All of those manifestations in the present moment ceases. Hmm?
Uh, Bante,
Yes.
Bante, while you are explaining what I meant was actually when we do the Vedanas, Vedana Sati, huh?
Vedananupasana.
Vedananupasana, the way in this particular
Hmm.
Vedana, it sanya also in that vedana,
Yeah.
because without sanya
Yeah.
we don't know whether it is whatever the object is uh, associated with sukha dukkha or adukkama sukha.
Okay,
So
Damsari.
yeah, that's why it's in that particular when you are doing
Okay.
Vedananupasana, so
Hmm.
it is actually we have not separared
Hmm.
Vedana and Sanya, which will be doing in the third tetrad.
Damsari, Metana. Okay. Here you may see not separating Vedana and Sanya.
Yeah,
Right, in this regard, in this particular regard,
yeah,
but there is something else to separate here.
yeah.
The mind and the object.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
see,
yeah, yeah.
the mind.
And the object. Yeah,
The perception is in the mind. The Vedana arises at the place of the object.
yeah, okay.
And in seeing that, you go deeper into analyzing the mind striking the object. That is where the pasa is occurring.
Yeah,
You see, because when we say there is sanya in the Vedana, no, sanya and Vedana are two separate counterparts, and that can be distinguished. So when we do things so, then there the separation is the object. The Vedana is the object, the sanya is the mind. That has to be discerned. That has to be seen. Hmm? So then when you see that, you realize that the object arises, processes, ceases, mind arises, processes, ceases, hence impermanent, suffering, non-self. May dekhem dukkha satya. Both these, the mind and the object, both of them are part of dukkha satya. Hmm? However, coming back to my original question, hmm, which is when there is a moment of arising, which then now connects to what Dhamsiri and where we came to with Dhamsiri. At that moment of arising of an object, several of you, couple of you, you gave your what you had to say, which is relatable to you, which resonates to you. Now, in seeing impermanent, suffering, non-self, all of these moments, from the moment that we started our meditation or when we did whatever we had to do at home and sat down on the computer logged on and left your home behind and just came to sit here in this session together, there was impermanence there. When we did the small chanting Namo Tassa in the beginning and then it went quiet and we began to meditate, there was impermanence there. When the thoughts and all of those were dismissed and put aside as we focus more upon the observing of the breath, there was impermanence there was change, there was a shift that occurred in mind and body. And then as we observed each moment, there was impermanence there as well, with the breath arising, ceasing, arising, ceasing. And then as we went closer to observe that same breath, in seeing the moment of arising, processing, ceasing, there is impermanence there as well. As we go deeper, when we discover that the arising, processing, ceasing that I thought was surprising, processing, ceasing seems to have other arising, processing, ceasings happening whilst I was assuming this particular arising, processing, ceasing, you realize that the mind is going deeper and deeper in a sense that it can now, or it is sensitive to very subtle and profoundly subtle changes of arising, processing, ceasing, and allowing that process to unfold. Usually, Pauk Sayadaw says to allow the mind to be here for 30 minutes at least, meaning without any requirement, without any want to go anywhere. Slowly, 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 it might be difficult in the beginning because you might experience it and then it might go away, but we continue without view, remember. So without even remembering that Pauk Shadow said to do this, in a way only inspired, we bring ourselves to be able to come into that subtlety with work, shedding as we go. At that moment, within that very moment, we have to be able to see the characteristics, the three characteristics. These characteristics are already being seen by you in different ways, right? Hence, in order for these dhammas to bloom, one most essential thing that you have to simply do is to have a continuity of practice. Practice every single day. Practice every single day. Morning, noon, or night, in whichever way, build it into your daily routine. And when you do, don't think about, sometimes if you're having challenges and difficulties, what I would say is forget all else and just meditate. And everything else will fall together, puzzle bit by bit, piece by piece, the puzzle will fall together and become what it has to become. And as we come through that practice, as we meditate, these insights starts to bloom. You can't fake this because the moment that these insights occur, you know a certain shift of mind has occurred. A certain shift of mind has occurred because it comes through a deep affection, a deep sense of vision, not fear or just vision, because vision, that is exactly what wisdom is. Vision, light. And when that light occurs, we slowly, gently, we learn through balancing of the indriya, the faculties, to manure this wisdom or to allow or to walk the path with it. In that walking of path, we observe impermanence. Now, how do we observe impermanence? Have you observed that a particular Dhamma arises and ceases? Then you have observed impermanence. That is the nature of impermanence. That something arises and ceases. Now, you see a picture, you see a certain sound, or hear a certain sound, I'm sorry. Taste a certain taste, smell a certain smell, feel a certain tactile feeling. And through this, you see the rising, ceasing. But when you go deeper into this arising, ceasing, you see there is momentary change, momentary change. More like with the breath, arising, ceasing of the breath, the in-breath arises and ceases, and then from the in-breath arising and ceasing, we go into pada titibanga, arising, processing, ceasing, the whole body of the breath. Then we see, with as we observe Upada Tibanga, change did not occur as one whole block, but moment to moment, at the moment of arising there is change, at the moment of processing there is change, at the moment of cessation there is change. Change occurring from Upada to Titi, Titi to Banga, change, change, change. There is no stagnant moment. How exhausting, isn't it? That's dukkha. Now see, when there is no effective place that it is stagnant, it is like a carpet being pulled out under your feet again and again and again and again. So you have to jump, 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 jump. In that jumping, you see, in that change, you see impermanent. In the nature of exhaust, because of this change, you see suffering. The fact that because this change is occurring, again and again, the mind has to shift and change to suit or hold this object. So it changes. This is the first arising and ceasing, Udhyavaya. The momentary change, Khanika Vaya. The momentary change, Khanika Vaya. Then, when a Dhamma occurs, when you observe a certain phenomena, do unmute yourselves and interact if you like to. When you observe a phenomena, anything, have you observed that, just like a fruit that is beautiful, radiant, ripe, and then it starts to fade, just so an object arises so whole and full, and then it starts to shift and change, decay. Have you seen decay happen to an object? Where even if it is, let us say, even if it is restlessness, the decay of restlessness. If it is pleasure, the decay of pleasure. It is like the joke is made or said, ha ha ha, there is laughter, and then there is coming down where you stop, where you have to stop laughing to not look crazy. There is decay in the laughter. Now, these insights, that is the insight where, for example, this nature of decay is seen in this moment. It is impermanent. just like that plump fruit coming to sort of shrivel and rot, just so and fall, just so something that is healthy, vibrant, radiant comes to cease. Even the mental energy from arising to ceasing comes to cease. So, comes to cease. Then that is decay. Uh, Jara. Jara, this sense of transformation that occurs when one object shifts and changes, in that within that object, the impermanence first, we saw this nature of decay, Jara, and then this nature of viparinama, which is the change itself that occurs in general. The nature of change happening moment to moment, but within this very moment, this dhammata, this phenomena, within that phenomena, that change that happens, where you think that phenomena is stagnant, but there is change within this phenomena itself. Look at how many ways you could see impermanence. Impermanence. My mere speaking and you listening to this sound is also a reflection of impermanence, change that is occurring. Because of this change, as this change occurs, because one consonant is not permanent, you are able to hear and gauge the next one. Because and through this change, we have learned a system. This system that manifests is the worldview. On that worldview, we are stuck. That is what we say, which means to be a pruthakjana. This is what it means to be a worldling. A person who is constrained and tied to the mundane world. This person has to keep up with the Joneses. This person has to dress appropriately. This person has to put themselves forward at times. This person has to do things, has to have friends, has to go out, has to have social interactions. This person has to do a lot of things. Because for this person is made through impermanence itself. For example, we know when we switch off the car offs. You can switch off the car. When you turn the key, you switch off the car offs. You know, if you are to brush your teeth will become cleaner. This is in a way viparinama, change. This is change that occurs. This is a manifestation of impermanence occurring each moment, each moment. However, we do not see impermanence, we see life. This is life. But life for whom? We must demarcate the fact that this is the life of a worldling. Where our life, our happiness, or anything that we derive happiness from, for example, having the top of the range of something, or the biggest house, or whatever else that we would accompany success of a mundane life, having that becomes important for a worldling. When the shift of mind occurs to the Dhamma, then you see beyond, you start seeing beyond the importance of that has been created through social constructs. where one has to, for example, do a job and do all of that because this is the world and everyone else is going on the same network. That is the sammuti. For the mind to go beyond the sammuti, this is how we do it. To see the nature that underlines every moment for what it truly is, to show to ourselves that we can get off the hamster wheel, that we can stop running, that there is nothing to run to because there is nowhere we are coming from, nowhere that we are going, that it is in this very moment that we are. And in this moment, if I are able to control this craving, or to rather the best efforts made to uproot it by seeing, by discerning, by seeing it for every facade or mask that it wears. Because this craving is not just outright clear. This craving arises even in so many moments of our meditation. When you think the meditation is going well, there is craving. When you think that you're happy with the meditation, there is craving. This craving arises, now it's because this craving arises. Tomorrow, if you practice again, and if the practice is not as good as what you did today, there is the condition to now demotivate you. Because craving arose, and after a craving arises of that sort, making you happy, there is surely tadalambana, or registration, that arises at the end of a consciousness stream. This registration makes you remember, meaning another layer of sankhara, aggregate. Another layer of aggregate. Now building on the Atma Sanya, Atma Kaya, the body of self, the perception of self. In order to break this lucid infatuation that one has with this material world, with this notion of continuity, kama tanha, that is why we are infatuated with the senses, that is why we are constantly seizing sensually pleasing experiences. The experiences that arise within this moment, in order to develop a certain or wisdom or true vision regarding it, you have to see it as it is to come to this level, just like a person who sieves for gold in a riverbank goes through several layers of sieving to come and arrive at the gold dust that makes his livelihood, puts bread on the table for him. Just so, the yogi, the meditator, sits here sieving. Sieving what? Sieving the foreign element of the hindrances, craving, aversion, view, sloth, torpor, restlessness. When these things arise in the mind, you think that these things are true things. Why? Because you're infatuated with this material, this material way, this loka worldview. When you shift over and you realize these are chittas, chaitasikas, these only can be three things. It can be a chitta, it can be a chaitasika, it can be a rupa, a materiality, a material part. It can be the mind, it can be a mental concomitant, or it can be a materiality. These three parts in this moment have, you see, within these three parts, impermanence, a change that occurs moment to moment, its nature of unpredictability, The fact that it never lasts, however strong and powerful it is, like a car would go and crash at a solidly built wall, no harm would come to the wall, an industrial wall, a car would go and crash into this. Just so, when cessation, however powerful the object is, or brilliant and radiant that consciousness is, like a car comes to crash, it hits a crashing end into cessation. This is also impermanent. Furthermore, it is also non-self. We think one thing is more important than the other, don't we? We think one thing is more important than the other in terms of comparison. All of that falls into, or when you see, there is no sense of importance or no increase or decrease of energy. It all comes to a halting end. It is a condition. Because it is a condition, it arises, it ceases in its own time. It comes to a halting end, whatever the object might be, however powerful the mind may be, however powerful or the object might be, it comes to a halting end, impermanence. And also there, through that same characteristics, you can also see non-self there. However much you want, even in the clinging or moment of clinging, you will see it comes to a halting end. So then the yogi thinks to himself, why am I even bothering? Why am I even bothering? Because there's nothing to bother, is there? Because however much you try, when you see the reality of what is, and you realize that it all comes to a halting end, whether you crave or not, there is no purpose. There is no further purpose. There is no motivation. There you see the stark truth of reality that we are living in a hallucination of sorts, built through views, very thick views, built through the aggregate, five aggregates. Materiality, all the materiality that we see and experience, this body. Through this body, we experience the mind, we experience perceptions, all the perceptions. So these perceptions would be the image of your mother, images of your childhood, what life you've lived, all of that which is within your bank of perceptions that could arise, signs that could arise, all of that is aggregate of perceptions. Then Vedana, sensations. Now, when you were living those experiences tied to the perceptions, when you were living those experiences in the past, what you felt, the comfort that we felt, the discomfort that we might have felt, the many pleasant memories or unpleasant memories, the life that you experience, the standard of comforts that you're used to, the touch of clothes that you're used to upon your body, uh, how hot or cold you like your bath water to be. mm? The temperature of water you like to wash the dishes, how you like the smell or the look of the house that you like or dislike when it looks a certain way. All of these things make you feel a certain way. And because it makes you feel a certain way, again tied to perceptions and other mental counterparts. However, this feeling that you're used to, when people then make, when your conditions are then in a way that make you feel pleasant, the mind is pleasant. When it is not so, then it is not so. Like a weak tree that bends to where the wind blows, just so the mind keeps on bending into different places of suffering. Change again, experiences, changes. At this moment, seeing that fluid, the erosion that happens, the bodily changes, the mental changes, the how the experience comes to an end, how you cannot control what is of this present moment, it will unfold in its own nature, how strength appears and then it disappears, and then it's cessation, marana, death. Even the most purest or the most negative of thoughts would subsequently come to an end, which paves the way to the deepest truth of our teachings, the Buddha's teachings, which is the ultimate cessation caused by enlightenment itself. But of course, before that cessation, that is the final place that we hope to attain to. However, in this moment, we may also experience Tadanga Nirodha, a temporary cessation that arises through the right balance of mind arising at that moment. But because the faculties have not are have are yet to go on the journey that it needs to, it is only Tadanga, temporary. For a temporary moment, you experience complete loss, complete cessation, not loss, cessation. But only for a moment. Why? The wisdom of the faculties or how the faculties are is unable to see Nibbana and touch it because it's not done the work as yet. The shedding, the sieving has to continue. So always sieve, everyone. Filter it out. Remove the grains moment to moment. With every interaction you may have with your children, with your partners, with your spouses, with people, with the media, with everything that is around you. Remember that when you are in this practice, in genuinely being in the practice, our importance is placed on different things. We do not give importance to when a student comes or is or someone who wants to learn. No importance is given to how much wealth that person has. No importance is given to degrees and accolades the person has. No importance is given to the background, the family history, and all of those things which may be important in the outside world, but in this world, which is this world of vipassana, world of sieving out that suffering, getting rid of the hindrances, arriving at a state of peace and tranquility of mind and presence and being, in that world, we place importance on other values. Values most important, if we are to say, the foundations of a wholesome mind, which is alobha, one. Alobha is non-greed or generosity, if we may say. This generosity, the word may bring or connect lines with just material giving. No, but this is also generosity, how generous you are with people as a human quality. The generosity, the alobha that comes in also being able to give away and let go. Let go of qualms, angers, hurt, pain, generosity, nekkhamma, renunciation, alobha, renunciation. This renunciation is where, even when we are feeling down, to take a deep breath and to renounce that feeling, to disconnect from that feeling. When we are blaming ourselves unnecessarily, and when our negative mind has taken us to a newer depth, to just take a breath, to take a step back, and to nekkam, aloba. Because it is because you have seen and accepted that pain as a part of self that you're feeling that hurt. The moment that you disconnect from it, allow it to arise and cease, and know that there is change happening. This is not the only state. When this mind changes, there is a shift. Nekkhamma. In the same way with every breath, nekkhamma. Huh? Nekkhamma. Now remember that word. Nekkhamma. Letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. The sense of letting go, this sense of letting go applies to everything. In a way, if something is irritating you, if we have a certain sense of views or something, letting go of that. If there is a sense of aloba, adosa, which is metta, loving kindness, there is a sense of letting go there as well. If when it comes to then the last part, adosa is metta, the last part is wisdom. The importance is placed upon these three. Now, during this time, with everything that is going on in Sri Lanka, with politics and all of that that is there, see how your minds may have shifted in this time as well. Because we are allowing, when the mind goes so fast into placing so much of importance upon these things, these shifts that occur, that it takes us away from our own path. That is a very good sign to see how well our Samma Ditthi is established. Our Samma Ditthi is established. Now see, like a flood came the elections, like a flood it came. And in coming like a flood, I'm talking about the flood not in the physical world, but in the mind, the ogre and the yoga. Like a flood it came and swept us off our feet. Swept us off our feet into Ayonso Mansikara, into places of judgment, akusala. And this person who sits or walks in the path of practice, this person has an inherent quality of, let us say, inherent quality of physically not in it, mentally not interested in it, physically not in it, and there is no volition that interest. Of course, if you're working in it or something that is connected to it, but the interest of it is not strong, where it is creating an influx there. It is creating an influx. This is where the balance of indriyas again comes in through our practice. Just like the election, soon enough there will be something else. Soon enough afterwards there will be another thing. Soon enough afterwards there will be another thing. So you will forever be swept off your feet. So then the little time that we have remaining, we have wasted on being swept away from our feet, and the carpet being taken out down under from our feet, and left just getting up again and again, again and again. We are just getting up off the floor, off the floor, off the floor, off the floor. Never learning, never learning, never learning. Why? Because the wisdom is not shining. Wisdom is not shining. Still being dragged into the mundane world. Still being dragged into mundane perplexity, whilst the Dhamma is right here, and whilst even this is a good example for how Ditthi governs the life that we live as well. Because of that, although it is not connected, although it might not even affect us, still the view that we are Sri Lankan, this, we have those influences coming. Then, because we are here, then these politics also. At this point, it's good to be in just one country. So the Sankara is less. Now you have to worry about 2 or 3 governments, where you have your children out away. So many governments worry about now, what are we going to do? Spending the rest of the time that we have worrying about things or thinking that these outcomes or these decisions are better, it takes us away from our Dhamma path. Mm. And the emotions that arise, again, it brings hindrances. The sila breaks. Now, even for example, if one might say, let us say, we don't gossip, but we love listening to gossip. Right? Physically කට ඇරලා මොනවත් කියන්නේ නැහැ. But we love to listen. Just sit there with a cup of tea maybe. Right? Now that also for the meditator or for a person who is enlightened, of course, even that sort of discussion would be off-putting. Off-putting in the sense where this person, it is not, there would be no liking towards that sort of thing. Which would mean that for the Pratakshana person, although there is sila in physically not doing it, but that sila is weak because there is mental liking towards it. There's mental liking towards it. ඔතකොට දැන් ධර්මාර්ගයේ ඉන්නවා, it is like doing a whole day of meditation and maybe coming back and then listening to the radio. Right? Listening to the radio and getting all of that sankhara back in. Right? So these are places that also teaches us about ourselves. However strong we may think our practice is, or our adherence or our need to attain would be, still we have that qualm, that shift that can arise. This is what happens till we attain. And even after, but of course, after we attain Sotapanna, the woeful realms are dwindled away. However, even after attaining Sotapanna, this can affect a person because it creates a condition. Will the Sotapanna attain Arahatship soon, or will they linger on in samsara for a long time? This is determined by the amount of practice that they do. Some beings, although their lifetimes are long, they linger on for longer. Whilst others, because of their efficient practice, they practice and they get rid of all the kileshas faster and attain rebirth also. In our lives, as a condition for us too, it is very much the same thing. How often do we practice determines how fast we'll attain. How less we will practice determines the obvious. So, in leaving all of you with that, let us end today's session, everyone. Wishing you all the best of health and happiness. And I will see you tomorrow for the Dhammasangani class. Teruvan Sarnai, everyone.
තෙරුවන් සරණයි බන්ති.
Everyone,
Everyone,